guys, thank you for joining me once again. Today, I want to talk about what happened last week, Tuesday, in Lagos State, where around 20 people, I mean, the figures are all over the place because I read several, some were saying 20, some were saying 30. One of the reports even said only two. So, this news story, as we all know, was happened in Lagos State last week, Tuesday. So, some kids left school, finished school, sorry, and were going back home. And on their way home, a trailer crushed them to death. And this is not the first time it's happened. I'm gonna take your minds back to what happened last year. I think the news went viral and the whole Nigerian public acknowledged that this was a problem that needed to be dealt with. You had a young lady, a beautiful young lady, and a guy, two employees from the Lagos airport, and on their way back from work, a trailer again, this time around a 20-foot container, killed the both of them. So the container fell on the bus. Others in the bus were lucky to have survived with some injuries. But the young lady, her name was Miss Ajoku Shedema, and the guy, I think his name was Shema. I read a news report. We're gonna put up as well her picture. And I remember going through that story when it happened, and that story shocked me. That was one of this lady. And you know, when before I became a dad and a husband, honestly speaking, I must confess, I never used to click on negative stories about Nigeria. I saw it as draining, as mentally depressing. So I remember whenever I'm going through news stories about things happening in Nigeria, I see negative story, I'll just click past and just keep going. I wouldn't want to click on it to read more. But after I became a dad, everything changed. For some reason, I had to start clicking on these stories and start learning more. And even try to engage and see how can we stop things like this from happening in future. And one of the things I've kept on saying in Nigeria is we are so reactive as Nigerians. We react to things a lot. One of the things that separates developed countries from underdeveloped countries is that developed countries are more proactive. They have the ability to look into the future and try to decipher and try to prevent tragedies from happening. Whether it's road accidents through the use of speed limits, whether it's this truck accidents through the use of licenses or appropriate regulation. In Nigeria, we don't have that. We don't do that. Even if we have it, we lack enforcement. We lack the enforcement mechanisms to stop these things from happening. And so when the death of that lady happened, I remember something in my psyche changed. I couldn't, for the sake of me, believe that a lady and a guy could leave the airport where they went to fend for themselves, where they went to scatter for their families, and on their way back home, a trailer, according to Mrs. Shedema's mom, the guy was driving recklessly, he was going above the speed limit, crushed the two of them to death. And to have it happen again, just like last week Tuesday, like I said, tells you that, and this has been happening after Mrs. Shedema died. 1 week or 2 weeks after that, it happened again in Lagos State. So you start asking yourself, as a country, where are we going as a country? When you have young people, in last week Tuesday was young kids, young pupils, left school and they were killed. You have in this other case a young lady, 27 years old. According to her mom, she had dreams of going abroad for her masters. When things like this start happening, you start questioning Nigeria as a country, start asking yourself, what kind of leaders do we have? And I don't just want to talk about these problems. I also want to talk about solutions. So one of the things I've been thinking about is how do you solve this? You can call it an epidemic now, right? This epidemic of trailers crushing civilians or crushing our fellow citizens in Nigeria. One of the things that we can do, or we can demand from our government to do, is to train truck drivers properly. Obviously, the government cannot do that. What they can do is regulate the private industries that use these trailers. So, say for example, Company A, for example, right? The government job is to regulate Company A to make sure that Company A provides the appropriate licenses and training to their truck drivers. So you won't have a situation whereby in Mrs. Shedema's case, the driver was going above the speed limit, driving recklessly. You won't have in the case of the young children that were killed last week, when according to as we say in Nigeria, the brake failed, so the brake could not be engaged in the truck. So when you like, for example, in the UK, right, they have a license for each size of container. I was speaking to my friend who wants to go into this truck driving, and according to her, she was that there's a specific license for each size of container. So for example, if you have a license for a 20-foot container, you can't drive a 30-foot container, for example. Obviously, you can drive anything less than that, because the more bigger, the more license you have. That means, for example, if you can drive a 20, for example, that means you can drive a 10, but you can't drive a 30. So we need to start having those. I don't know if they are there. I don't know what the figures of FRSC are. But my point is, we should have drivers that are properly trained. And like I said, this doesn't just happen in Lagos. This happens all over Nigeria. The amounts of deaths we've had now from this case, I mean, if you read Nigerian news almost on a weekly basis, there has to be one thing or the other, particularly in Lagos State, obviously, and in other states as well, which some of these stories we may never even hear about them. So one, let's train these drivers properly. The companies that are sending these guys out should train their drivers properly, and the FRSC should start giving out the appropriate licenses to these drivers. Number two is, that's where the government comes in, and the government should start enforcing speed limits. So, for example, in the UK, the speed limit on trucks is 60 miles per hour. You'll find it difficult to find trucks going more than 60 miles an hour. In fact, the companies have GPS systems that monitor what speed these drivers are driving. In the UK as well, you can't drive more than 4 hours without taking a break. So, for example, if you're on the road in the UK as a truck driver, after 4 hours, you have to take a break, then start driving again. In Nigeria, we have to implement the same. If you're a truck driver, you shouldn't go more than 60 miles an hour. Also in the UK, as you're driving in the UK, most of the times you see the trucks on the left-hand side. You hardly see them trying to overtake or trying to go on the right-hand side. So the point being that there's a specific part of the road that is meant for the trucks, because of how dangerous they are, because of the kind of how large they are. They always drive on the left-hand side. So the smaller cars now drive past them. The same should happen in Nigeria. Obviously, I'm speaking hypothetically. I know, obviously, like you all do, that we don't have good roads in Nigeria, and this is the point that the government has to play a better role in. Even when you have the roads at all, the roads are so bad. So you can't have a situation whereby these drivers are driving on the side of the road, obviously, because the roads are bad. The roads where they are available, they are bad roads. So the point being that we should start demanding and start asking for our leaders to build better roads for us, the citizens of Nigeria, to enjoy. And finally, another thing that came to my mind was, some of these trucks we see in Nigeria, they are so old that they have been used for like 20 years, 30 years. In the UK, for example, most of the trucks you see, they have a lifespan of, I think it's 3-4 years. I might be wrong about this, but I know I've seen lots of them on the road all the time. And they look brand new, or they look properly maintained. You never see a truck in the UK where it looks as if it was built 10 years ago, where the emissions are so much, or where it's so noisy. You hardly see that in this country. In this country, most of the trucks you see, the lorries you see, are, if not brand new, they are close to being new. So in Nigeria, we should have the same rule. I know, obviously, the argument will be, oh, these people are poor, they can't fend for their families. But sometimes, like I always say, sometimes the government is there to save the individual from themselves. What if you take that truck, for example, and go out and kill people? In the case of Mrs. Chidinma, from what the mom said, the driver absconded. I don't know if they found the driver up to today. So my point being that, we have to find a way, through the use of speed limits, through the use of properly trained drivers, good roads, and start asking these companies that you cannot use a truck or a lorry that is 10 years old. It's not possible. You can't be doing that in the 21st century. You have to use a truck that is appropriate for the time frame, the lifespan, all these things, they have lifespan, just like a car has a lifespan. You can't be using a tool that the lifespan has expired. So I hope this inspires the conversation. I hope people start, because I think when we keep on ignoring these issues, it keeps on repeating itself. We have to start speaking about these things. Human life in Nigeria has zero to none value. In Nigeria, the human life is so poor. Like you had, we are still doing some research into solutions for bullying. You had Mr. Sylvester dying 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago now. You have last week Tuesday, young people was being killed. So I hope that we start talking about this, and please don't forget to share this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What else do you think we can do to solve this? I don't just want to come here and talk about problems. I also want to talk about solutions. What can we do? Maybe you live in America, you live in Switzerland, Singapore. What policies are these countries implementing that we as Nigerians can implement in our own country to make our country better? I think that should be our level of interaction, our level of discussion now, solution driven. And these things are this that I think, in my opinion, I think they can help to at least reduce the high rates of accidents happening on our roads when it comes to trucks and lorries. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe. Once again, thank you. God bless.